Okay, good morning, everyone. We'll call the meeting of the DuPage County Development Committee to order. Tuesday, March 21st, roll call, please.
Member Krajewski. Member Chaplin. Here. Member Guston. Here. Member Ozog. Here. Member Rutledge. Here. Chair Tornatori.
Here. And we have a quorum. I have no chairman remarks under public comment. Public comment is limited to 30 minutes at the beginning of the meeting. Individual comments will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. No new evidence is going to or should be presented to the committee. However, we are certainly happy to hear from anyone who has any comments for or against any item on the agenda. We do have some electronic public comments that have been submitted based on our new county board rules. They will be entered into the minutes, but will not be read. But we will take care of the people who are here this morning. Are these in addition to what I have here?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And I would ask you if you have anything that you're saying that was said by the person who preceded you, perhaps you can just say that you agree with that person as opposed to giving us a recitation of the same thing that we just heard. Just in the interest of time. The first person is James Bieschke from Clear Channel, for Clear Channel regarding, says representing homeowners.
That's here.
Okay. Which homeowners are you representing, by the way?
Those in the hills of Itasca.
Okay, great.
And I'll read my statement.
Sure.
I'm here on behalf of myself and over 24 other homeowners residing in the neighborhood known as the hills of Itasca. That neighborhood is located adjacent to the billboard, which is the subject of this hearing. I've been granted written approval by my neighbors to represent their interests regarding all matters pertaining to the subject petition. These homeowners have signed letters, sent text messages, endorsed a petition stating that they are unanimously and vehemently opposed to approving the Clear Channel outdoor zoning petition and the intrusion of additional LED lighting into our neighborhood for the following reasons. If approved, the LED lighting will directly shine onto two residences. This would be at 5 North 146 Route 53 and 5 North 130 Route 53, both located within the same triangular plot of land as the billboard, a mere 200 feet from the signage. This would essentially destroy the market value of two single-family homes. To do that is unconscionable. LED lighting is so intense that it radiates well off the outer edges of the billboard, just as it does off the signage on the north face of this same billboard, directly impacting the single-family home located at 5 North 221 Route 53. This isn't our imaginations, it's basic physics. When the lighting from this billboard is so intense, you have to consider not just what's in front of the billboard, but what radiates off these sides. And it goes in a parallel line off the sides of this billboard for some distance. You can see that if you go out there and look at the north face and see the impact that that has. It also affects 5 North 161, or it will if it's approved, as well as a buildable lot at 5 North 161 Route 53. Single-family homes on Central Road would also be negatively impacted by the ambient lighting emitted from this billboard. The proposed LED lighting will create an obvious public nuisance, will be highly detrimental to the peaceful enjoyment of our properties, and will significantly and negatively impact property values throughout the neighborhood. I would ask that you seriously consider the following. Irrespective of any electronic controls offered by the petitioner, LED lighting is inherently more luminous, more intrusive, and more blinding than incandescent lights, which are currently on that billboard. Has anyone ever seen it otherwise? The answer is no. LED lighting is always exponentially brighter, harsher, and more intense than incandescent lighting.
I'd ask you to wrap up. You've got 3 minutes.
In 30 seconds.
Okay, well, let's get moving. Take your place.
Has anyone ever heard of a situation where billboards are erected next to a neighborhood retrofitted with LED lighting and property values increased as a result? They haven't. Would anyone here welcome LED lighting into their neighborhoods? Likely not. This is quite simply a matter of a corporation wanting to make more money and not caring at all about the negative impacts on the neighborhood or to its people. This is not the place for such a sign. And please recognize that this neighborhood has many elderly residents, people with a significant portion of their net worths tied up in their homes. We're not asking you, we're pleading, we're begging you, please don't approve this petition.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Thank you for
comment.
your time.
Sure, you're welcome. Item 6B, Philip Kehans, regarding,
Yeah, I represent Sunny Acres. I'm really just here to ask you to approve the ZBA unanimous recommendation. If you have any questions.
that's item 6B.
Yeah.
Thank you. Brian Armstrong.
Good morning. I'm here on the Clear Channel petition as well as the Stults petition. So I don't know if you want me to address them back to back or wait till you get to it. You tell me how you'd like me to proceed.
Well, just let's do one and then you follow up with the next so we can.
Okay, regarding the Clear Channel petition that Mr. Bieschke just spoke about, sounded like we were hearing new evidence. Mr. Bieschke was at the hearing, the zoning hearing, and had similar comments, but did not submit evidence. And as you said, this is not the time to submit evidence. I will point out that the billboard that we're talking about, it's an existing billboard. It's been existing for probably 30 years, and we're switching a static face to an electronic face. Of course, the static face is lit up at night, and ambient light is thrown off the static face. So we're not really changing the situation much. As Mr. Bieschke alluded to, the LED does have an electronic device which monitors the ambient daylight. It knows when it's dark out, it knows when it's light out, it knows when it's sunny out, it knows when it's cloudy out, and it adjusts the brightness of the display in real time according to what the electronic device reads. The last thing I would suggest is a proposal for a 15-year limitation of the conditional use was incorporated into the zoning hearing officer's recommendation. As you can imagine, these involve significant investment, both to switch out the LED and to acquire the billboard in the first place. And Clear Channel doesn't own the property, so they have a lease. They have a 30-year lease for this property that they've invested in. So I think it's not appropriate to have a 15-year condition when they've invested a significant amount and will continue to invest a significant amount both in this LED and in maintaining and replacing the LED in the future. So I'd ask for approval without the 15-year condition, please.
Okay, you want to address your other issue then?
Sure, it's the Stults matter. It's the last item on the agenda. This is a conditional use that was approved by the county board, and we're asking to slightly modify the site plan. So we're asking for that the modification is essentially in accord with what the county board previously approved. And the modification is to remove a drive-through portion of the storage facility at the north side of the facility. There was going to be an indoor storage area with a drive-through. That's going to be removed. It just was not an ideal design for traffic flow. And so we're removing that. We're going to replace it with an outdoor driveway. And then we're going to have a freestanding single-story drive-up storage facility in its place. The modification does not involve any variations. It will still comply with the FAR. It will still comply with all of the conditions that the county board previously approved. And of course, we'll comply with all the stormwater and all the other regulations. So we ask that you find that to be essentially in accord. In addition, a couple of other small things. We're asking for an extension of time from currently the conditional use expires in June of 2023. Because of the volatility and the availability of construction materials, particularly steel and concrete, which are going to be a significant component of the building, and because of current finance situation, the property owner has been working on redesigning and needs more time. So he's asking for an extension of the conditional use and also asking for permission to allow an operator of the facility other than Extra Space Storage what was approved by the county board was that he could have a contract with Extra Space to operate the facility. He owns the property. He's going to continue to own the property. He was going to contract out the operation of the storage facility. Everybody will be better served. All the customers will be better served by opening the operation of the building to competition. So he's asking that you allow him to open the service, the operating of the building to competition, so he can ask for these providers, these operators other than Extra Space, so that he can leave the ideal situation for storage. So that's what we're asking for. We request that you recommend approval.
Thank you. Thank you. Matt Goody. Not sure.
Good, I've got the silent E, so,
Okay. Oh, sorry.
no, it's okay, don't worry.
All good.
So, you've got a good joke, you got a good joke, I'll listen. I'm all ears. I'll try to be very brief. This is item 6D. And I'm a representative of Venture One Real Estate. And really just wanted to kind of relay our thoughts on what we're asking for. You know, this is we're essentially asking for a conditional use and a variance for a 0 lot line. But really in this case, we really feel that we're asking to continue operating the site as it's been operating for the last 24 years. Again, we're not making any changes to the lot lines. They're currently at the place that we're asking for them to be. You know, our company, Venture One Real Estate, we've had a lot of success in DuPage County over the years. We're a real estate investor. We invest in industrial properties, similar to this one. We first went in front of, we actually first started speaking to Paul Haas on December 12th. We were in front of Planning and Zoning on February 2nd. So we've been working on this for a long time. And we really do think that what we're asking for is consistent with what's going on in the area. Neighboring sites are for logistics, or we have a neighbor that's doing landscaping. The use is very similar to what we think is being done in the area, and what has been done on this site for 24 years. You know, again, right now the site currently has 239 or 240 parking spaces for RVs, for recreational vehicles and trucks. And we're actually asking for, we're showing a plan that has 87 vehicles or trucks. You know, difference being we would make improvements to the site. So our plans are to add landscaping up on Butterfield Road, which we think would look good in the area of the site that is facing Butterfield Road, so that gets the most traffic. We'd also be renovating the building facility, just upgrading it, making it more suitable for office. And our goal would be to bring in a tenant or an occupant that would be a professional business, a company that we think would be beneficial for the area. That's what we're looking for approval for. So thank you. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Does he want to comment again, Chuck?
Oh, yeah.
That's fine. Peter DeFilippo, did you want to comment or just wanted to?
If you'd like to comment.
All right. Okay, sure. Go ahead.
So I'm representing Mr. Russo here, who's sitting with me today. He's the owner of the property at 25 West 170 Lawrence Avenue in Roselle. He's been the owner of that property for the last 30 years. We're proposing a variation. There was an initial denial due to the fact that they're claiming there was a hardship because we don't want to move the septic field. That in fact is not the case. We are just proposing the highest and best use for the property. This still falls in line with the lot sizes that are in the area. Just to the east of the property, from 24 West 430 down to 24 West 408 Lawrence. There's 5 properties that are actually smaller than the proposed lot that we're asking for at 14,255 square feet. These are a little under 12,000 square feet in lot size. The reason we're asking for this is for the highest and best use of the property. We're looking to develop the property, provide affordable housing, and then also it would be more tax revenue for the county. So we're asking that the proposed denial, the initial denial, be overturned, and that we are allowed to subdivide the lot based on the conditions we provided.
Thank you. Two others, Steve Burning, owner of property on Butterfield Road.
So I'm the last farmer in DuPage County.
And which item are you commenting on, sir?
The one called DK Acquisition.
60.
60?
Okay, go ahead.
last farmer in DuPage County, lived in Warrenville, been in DuPage County on that farm for 50 years. We bought the property of, to be acquired 24 years ago. We haven't seen a governmental official or anybody ever come around to look at what we're doing and why we're doing what we're doing. There's nobody in our neighborhood on that 6 acres. Fermilab to the north, the west is prairie, the south is prairie, all owned by the Peaker Power Plant. And the east side is owned by Seabird Landscaping, great neighbors. They park against the fence, we park against the fence, everybody's happy, everything's going well. I don't see any problem with 87 spaces versus the 230 that I have today. One of the problems we're having with this whole thing is the time it's taking. I submit to you that Kathy and I have taken out a $100,000 loan to pay for all this expense, and this time has been unbelievable. We're buying a farm with the 1031 money. We're going to buy it in McHenry because my farming is wearing out in DuPage County. The land is getting developed by y'all, and that's progress. That's DuPage. That's fine. So we'll move. My son lives on a very small farm in McHenry, and this 1031 money would buy a farm where I can teach him how to farm. I don't want to give him the fish. I want to show him how to fish. I want to buy the fishing pole. I need to get this moving. It's taken way too long. We started way too long ago. Its timing is just atrocious for me. It's unbelievable. I would love to have questions. I do well, better when you ask questions and try to tell you what's on my mind. Please consider it. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, David Arcus, is it?
That's it, that's it. I'm Dave Orcus, I live in Wheaton, and I'm an advocate for international dark sky, light pollution, and I'm here to just say a few words about the digital billboard. Digital billboards replace static billboards, which have the downlights. Well-regulated design, static billboard causes no light trespass or very minimal. And so the real question is, can you do the same thing with a digital billboard? You can ask the same thing, you can demand the same thing. Digital billboards are set up to be seen during the daylight, so they have to be twice the brightness of the sun. So they have to be dimmed down at dusk, 99%, to even come anywhere near the level that you need to not cause major light trespass. It can be done because the controls are in the system. The question is, do they happen every day at the same time? Do they happen when you want them? Do you need this light on all night? Can you turn it off like other lights at 11? Can you do the same thing you do for migratory birds with the lighting in the structures downtown? So those are the questions that I would have. And try not to make it. 4 states don't allow them at all. And Arizona and Nevada fight them vigorously, each one that goes up. We have them along 294, you all know them. There's something to be concerned about, but the controls within the system do allow that dimming. They'd have to go down probably well over 99%, right at dusk, to not really cause harm. That's it.
Thank you. That concludes the public comment portion of our meeting. I would ask before we go any further for a motion to pull item
So
6E. I've been advised that the petitioner would like to have this pulled from the agenda. The motion to pull it from the agenda or a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 6E is removed from today's agenda. Moving on to approval of the minutes, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of February 7th, 2023.
Second.
A motion and second. Any additions, corrections, or deletions? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Moving on to item 6A, I'll entertain a motion to approve DCR 1-23, an intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and the Village of Glen Ellen for inspection and permitting services. There's a motion and a second. Very briefly, this is a subdivision in Glen Ellen that had 18 properties annexed into the village. Some of these have active permits open within the county to help the homeowners and prevent them from beginning the permitting process all over again. The Village of Glen Ellen has asked the county to complete the inspections of these projects and has drafted the IGA, which is what we're dealing with this afternoon, or this afternoon, I guess, or this morning. So motion and second. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to approve DCO 13-23, zoning 2230 Sunny Acres. The zoning board of appeals recommendation to approve a conditional use for a banquet venue.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to approve DCO 14-23, zoning 2252 Russo. This is a zoning hearing officer's recommendation to deny a variation of reduced lot size from 29,000 square feet for lot 1 and 14,233 square feet from lot 2 from a lot of 40,000 square feet, and a variation to reduce the required lot width from 125 to 95.74 feet. This was a denial from the zoning hearing officer. I'll entertain a motion to approve it, as we do all motions. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions, comments? Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair. I am curious about the septic installation on this second lot, how they're going to deal with that, and what kind of a system they'll be putting in.
I'll ask Jessica to answer that
Sure.
question.
So the petitioner at the public hearing has been working with the health department to operate a biobarrier septic system on the property. So it wouldn't be a standard septic with the lines coming out of the septic tank. It's all encompassed into one system. So the health department determined that that would work on that size of lot.
Do they, I know they always take a look at bed number of bedrooms, and so they have determined that what they're proposing matches up with what the proposed construction will be.
Correct. Yes.
Thanks, Jessica.
Yes, Member Chaplin.
So my question is, looking at this, so there's going to be one lot that's 29,000 and one lot that's 14,000 approximately, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and the reason they can't make that 29,000 square foot lot smaller is because of the septic, is that right? That's correct?
Correct. In discussion with the health department, there's a certain distance required from the 29,000 proposed lot actually has a standard septic system with the lines, so there needs to be a distance between those and the new property.
Right.
So that pushed the property line further to the north.
So how do these two different lot sizes fit in with the neighborhood? So
Yes, so that was one of the hearing officer's points. There has been many subdivisions in the neighborhood, but they are of equal size.
right.
This would be a smaller lot size to the property to the north. It would be similar to the subdivision to the south, which is a separate subdivision compared to the Peenyville neighborhood that this is in. But it would be smaller than, similar in the area.
Is this the unincorporated?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right before us.
Yeah, duh, why don't I ask that? Yeah, this is one I'm just struggling with this one. Okay, I think, and the reason for this, variance was, let me see. Oh, just to make the best use of the property, right? That's, yeah, the best use of the property.
Any other questions? And was there any other specific reason for the denial of the zoning hearing officer?
Those were the only ones.
Any other questions? Yes, Member Guston.
In looking at the documentation and the request for the variances, I feel like they're actually reasonable. And the reality is we've been talking about affordability, and yes, lots are going to get smaller. And there's a functional way to do the septic to make it where you don't need a whole leaching field. So actually, I'm going to vote the other way on this one.
I don't know what the other way means, but that's okay.
I'll tell you later.
Okay. Okay.
Show you.
Yeah, affordability is something that we're always going for. I think we're going to see the words affordability come before us in a number of different things over the next few years. So that's going to be a key word for anybody that wants anything at the county. But let's move forward. Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve, which would be a yes vote on this would be to approve this and overturn the zoning hearing officer's recommendation. Roll call, please.
Member Chaplin.
Aye.
Member Rutledge.
Aye.
Member Guston.
Aye.
Member Ozark.
Aye.
Chair Tornatori.
Aye, and the motion is approved. We got to item 6D. I'll entertain a motion to approve DCO 15-23 zoning 2261 VK acquisitions LLC. The zoning board of appeals recommendation to deny a conditional use for open storage of trailers and materials and a variation to reduce the interior site setbacks from 20 feet to 0 feet and a variation to reduce the rear setback from 20 feet to 0 feet. Their motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve. This was again denied by the zoning board of appeals, and this one not the zoning hearing officers. Any questions of Jessica? Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say that I'm familiar with this property, and from the road, it's always been well maintained from the front, and apparently I didn't know before that it drops off in the back. So what we're considering for this variance is not even seen by the road. They have no complaints by any of the neighbors. I had heard that part of the objection was that they didn't have hours and an occupant. But I think from an investment standpoint, it's, you don't always get the horse first and then the cart, or vice versa. So I'm not sure what the problem with this item on our agenda is, but I'll be supporting the motion for the variation.
I was moved by Steve's comments on this case and all the time and effort and money that's been put into it to get the highest and best use. But I also understand that the 1031 stock or exchange are difficult programs to work with, and you have a time frame that you have to comply with. I also know that area very well, and I too, Member Rutledge was like, what? So I will be supporting this.
Jessica, you want to give us a little background on this one?
Sure. So this is a property that has been used for 25 years to store recreational vehicles, RVs. The proposed use would be for open storage of trailers and materials, following basically the same layout as the property stands today, with the 0 setback line as it's existed for 25 years. The only items that the zoning board of appeals found was there was no practical difficulty or hardship. And typically with conditional uses, there's already a tenant or proposed purchaser of the property that has business operations that tie into a conditional use, and those were not given at the public hearing. So that was really their big ticket item for denying that. And yeah, the practical difficulty or hardship for going down and maintaining that 0 setback for the sides and rear. Even though it exists today, there was no practical difficulty or hardship mentioned in the public hearing as to why they require the 0 now.
Okay, thank you. And I do have a question. If we're going from 239 parking places to 87, why the need to go to a 0 setback? It would seem to me that you could certainly keep the setback to what it was or even increase it. So why do they need more room for less parking?
That was identified by the zoning board of appeals too. I believe at the public hearing, it was because these would be trailers, truck trailers, requiring more space than a standard RV.
So the number isn't as relevant as the amount of space that's going to be taken up. Okay, I think that's important. And I think, well, you know, somebody's right to make the best use of the property is good, as we said on a couple of other issues. It's not our job to increase somebody's property value necessarily. If it happens, it's great, but that's not what we're here for. Yes.
Just one last comment in that if this property has been used for this purpose for 24 years, We routinely approve sheds or sidewalks on property that have existed for over 5 years. So we're like, oh yeah, we're not gonna make it tear it down. So just wanted to make that point. If this has been happening, there's been no complaints by the neighborhood or.
Well, that's
DOT.
true, but to your point, though, we routinely do that when there's a change of property ownership and someone comes in and says, I now have something that's on my property that I didn't know wasn't permitted. This is the same owner.
You do that when people are looking for.
Well, but I think your point is,
Thank you.
it's well taken, but I don't think it's necessarily accurate, but that's okay. Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this. Roll call, please. And again, an approval would be to overturn the zoning board of appeals recommendation to deny.
Member Chaplin?
Aye.
Member Rutledge?
Aye.
Member Guston?
Aye.
Member Ozark?
Aye.
Chair Tornatori?
Aye, and the motion carries. Moving on to item 6E, I'll entertain a motion to approve DCO. Oh, we pulled that one. I'm sorry. Thank you. Item 6F, I'll entertain a motion to approve DCO 17-23 zoning 23-00005, Clear Channel Outdoor LLC. A zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve a conditional use to allow an electronic message center sign on the south face of an existing billboard generally located southwest of Rolling Road and I-35. A motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. A motion and a second. Questions, comments? Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair. This must be my day. I'm
Oh,
gonna
we
put my
should-
environmental chair hat on for a few moments on this item. We have had a citizen bring to our, we have a dark skies resolution that we passed a couple of years ago. He is urging us to move that forward to an ordinance, which this kind of billboards in our county would be a problem for a dark skies ordinance. I agree that the technology is in these signs to dim them or turn them off entirely. And so in order to get my approval on something like this, I believe that Paul's not here today, but I think Jessica or somebody told me that they had agreed to turn it off at midnight. And from a dark skies initiative, I don't think that's adequate enough, so I won't be supporting this.
And just to be clear, we don't have a dark skies ordinance.
That is true, we
Okay.
do not.
That's important.
But based on the,
I just want to be clear,
Amount of
we
light
don't
that
have that
gets-
ordinance in existence.
that is
right?
correct.
We express support.
I'm sorry.
We express support.
Yes. And the impact on the homeowners in the area is problematic.
Any other questions?
Just-
Yes.
Is there any, is there any way we could add, I know they said midnight, but is there any way we can add something, another condition saying that they would have to dim it down earlier than, midnight?
We can add things, but if we add things, then we generally have to get the approval of the petitioner or send it back to zoning hearing officer. So if that's the will of the committee. Member Ozark.
I don't think that's practical because the time you'd want it off would be you'd really want it off from 6 to midnight.
Well, not
When you're
off,
using your yard and whatever, you're talking about dimming it or.
just dimming it, not off, but just adjusting that light because it has.
Isn't it already
explained
adjusted
that it's,
automatically? Isn't that what I heard? It's
Does it
already
adjust
pre-programmed to do that.
And does it
my
adjust
understanding.
low enough to?
Yeah.
Meet those
Can you
standards?
answer that, Jessica, for us?
It does have the software in it to automatically dim, as they stated, with the weather and time changes. I'm not super privy on that software, so I'm not sure if the billboard company would want to speak to that. But
No, we don't really, I'm sorry, and I don't mean to be, we don't have give or take with, on these, all evidence that's been presented already was at the zoning.
But it was testified to that it does have the software and it automatically dims and that can be adjusted. I'm not sure to the extent and how bright that does go down. So
Any other questions?
And Jessica, to that point, I'm assuming our county ordinances have so many, so many lit lights or whatever, lumens.
Lumens.
Thank you. So many lumens, and it has to be at that level depending upon the time of the day, or can never be higher than?
Correct.
And
Yes.
that we have somebody that goes out and checks that to make sure?
Yes, so we actually get that complaint pretty often for residential properties, businesses, signs. It is measured on candle foots. So per the ordinance, I believe for businesses, it's 3 candle foots from the property line that it can't exceed off of. So if we do receive complaints, we have a certain measurement tool and our code enforcement officers will go out there at nighttime.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this matter. Roll call, please.
Member Rutledge,
No.
Member Guston,
Aye.
Member Chaplin.
Aye.
Member Ozog,
No.
Chair Tornatori.
Aye, the motion carries. Moving on to item 6G, I'll entertain a motion to approve DCO 18-23 zoning 23-7. Mahmood, the zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve a variation to reduce the corner side setback from 30 feet to approximately 12.55 feet for interior and exterior remodeling of a house.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any comments, questions? All's in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to approve DCO 19-23 zoning 23-9. Garecki, zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve a variation to reduce the required lot size for 2 lots serviced with well and septic from 20,000 square feet to approximately 5,576 square feet for each lot, and a variation to reduce the required lot width for 2 lots serviced with well, sewer, and required 100 feet to approximately 54 feet.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Finally, I'll entertain a motion to approve DCO 20-23, zoning 23-16, Z21-085. Stults, this is essentially an accord to revise zoning relief Z21-85 for an essentially accord to extend the conditional use for an additional 18 months, to amend the site plan and design, and 3, to essentially an accord allow a self-storage facility operator manager other than extra space to be permitted to operate the self-storage
So moved.
facility.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Any old business?
Oh, can I just have-
You can ask anything
Thank
you want.
So, talking about these time constraints that they put on for conditions, I don't know if it's become an issue or not, but, we do know that there's a supply chain issue with a lot of these materials, steel, et cetera. Is there any way we can, they can push those out a little bit so that people maybe don't have to come back for time constraints?
I think that's something we can have Paul and Jim take up with the zoning hearing officer at zoning board of appeals. And you bring up something that I did miss too. I would leave the body, go back to item 6F, the Clear Channel Outdoor. There was a request to eliminate the 15-year sunset based on the extended lease. I'll ask at this point, I believe it's appropriate to do it to amend our motion to approve that to remove the 15-year sunset. Their motion to do so. I'll move it for purposes of discussion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions, comments regarding that? So as I understand it, there's a 30-year lease on the property. There's extensive investment of money on this, and there's a 15-year sunset. And what happens at the end of 15 years?
They would need to come back and ask for approval again. Typically, for conditional uses, as you stated, it's for the sheds that have been on a property for 50 years, garages, things like that, that were never permitted, that we find later. The hearing officer then puts a time constraint on those, a limitation, just to give that some time based on its useful life, likely because those would be replaced in 10 years. So for this, it was kind of a historical, intuitively, he put a time limit on it. So.
Okay. Intuitively, I like that. Okay. All right, so there's a motion and a second to remove the 15-year sunset.
I have a comment.
Yes, absolutely.
Technology is always rapidly moving, especially in that market, because it's marketing and advertising. I'm not really opposed to the 15-year time limit on it, because you do want to have that new technology apply to. So I'm not necessarily in favor of waiving it at this point. Can they come back at a different, I don't know. I mean, it's a 30-year lease. But the question is, as technology modifies and continues to get better and better and more friendly, will they have to update it or not? Those are
As long as
questions
they
that
stay within our
I
code.
don't know.
As long as
Yeah.
they stay within our code.
Yeah, so
Okay, we have a motion and a second to remove the 15-year sunset. Roll call, please. And I vote would be to remove it.
All right, so Chair Torrentori?
Aye.
Member Guston?
no,
Member Chaplin?
No.
Member Ozog?
No.
Member Rutledge?
No.
You got everybody?
Got everybody.
Oh, we only have 5, okay. Okay, and that amendment to the motion carries. Any old business? Yeah, what's the next, what did I say?
You said carries.
No, well,
it was some kind of.
any new business?
Some kind of language with them.
No old business, no new business, without objection, we adjourn. Thank you all.